Hello, Miranda.
Hey,
So, how's the week been?
it's going pretty good. I still feel a little bit down sometimes, but generally when I'm like down, I've been using the skills and stuff we've been working on, and it's been helping a lot. It's just, I still get a little sad when my husband, was gone for several days and I don't see him.
Right.
And, like I'll bring the kids back home and everything, and then it's just kind of like, something's missing in the house. But other than that, it's still pretty good.
Do you feel like there's anything that's been helping to make everything a little bit easier, even if it's not exactly where you want it to be?
I mean, when I get to those points where I'm like really upset, just something's wrong, something's missing, I can kind of like use like the skills we worked on, like the grounding exercises, and they just like they help me to calm down in the minute, because I would get so worked up about it, like the more I think about it, the more it builds until I'm just like, crying or something. But when I use these, I can kind of do it while it's building, and then it kind of goes back down a little bit. It's not like away, but it's still like it's suppressed.
That's great. So, it's something to just kind of keep it in balance a little bit. So, that's great.
Yeah.
So, just to kind of give a rundown of what today's look like, we're going to kind of go over your goals, talk about how you were initially, and just see how you're feeling now, and just seeing the progress that you've made. And then we're going to possibly discuss termination, because it sounds like you've been meeting some of your goals. And yeah, so the first objective I believe we had for you as one of your goals was to reduce the stress because the death of your mom. How do you feel that the coping skills that we've discussed in therapy has been helping? Has it been?
It's been helping a lot. Like, I think generally it's kind of just the process of getting over it has been really tough. But like using stuff to kind of step away from it helps a lot, because I can kind of like, see it almost from a step back and not just be in the mud of it all. So it's kind of nice when I can take like, 5 minutes or something as the exercise that we worked on to, stand back and kind of like just look at it from like if I wasn't related to my mom at all, which helps, because then I can, I like it's sad, but it's not as sad as my mom dying.
Right.
And then that kind of helps, because I see it like, oh, it's sad, but it, like my world's not ending. I'm still alive. I still have my children and everything. So
I'm glad that the coping. I'm glad that the coping skill has helped you be able to understand your emotions a lot better and be able to regulate those, because I know that death is not something easy to process. So I'm glad that the deep breaths and the coping skills are helping.
yeah, and I think like you said, it's kind of, I got so lost in the emotions that anything that kind of helps me to take a step back and not just be like so wrapped up in the cycle of it helps a lot.
Yeah, I know. One of our second goals also was to, excuse me, to strengthen the support group, so that way you don't feel like you're isolated. So I know we spoke about reaching out and connecting with community service groups, or just little things like that. Are there anything that's been working for you outside of session, since everything's been like improving with the coping skills?
Yeah, I've been I even just have been meeting up with some of like my kids' friends' parents. So like I meet some of the other moms, and like I would always used to just drop them off places and then kind of leave. However, I started staying, and I get coffee with them or something, and it helps a lot, because a lot of them are in like the same kind of positions where they're having maybe marital problems, or they're far away from their family if they're still alive. And so it helps a lot, because I kind of am with people that are in the same boat as me, so I can kind of I mean, even if it's just friendly chit chat, it still feels like they know where I'm coming from and I know where they're coming from.
And that's great. I'm glad that you're having that support that you need, so you don't feel alone, and you feel like you have people you can connect with too in those moments where you may feel like you have nowhere else to go to or speak to. You have people that you can trust. So I know the last objective that we had was to sort of find ways to help overall reduce the stress level because, with your children. So how do you feel with the groups and the community tying all together? Do you feel like these things have also helped influence making it easier for parenting capacity?
I mean, yeah, for sure. I think even just like me being able to vent a little bit or something, or grounding, it was, I think I got really caught up in like, I was already so emotional about my mom and so emotional about my husband not being there that eventually if, my kid has something like they get hurt or something, it's just like kind of a breaking point. It's a small thing, but it would, it would just be like tip over the entire thing. And so when I can kind of vent or something to some of my little friends, or just, take a step back and take 5 minutes to ground myself, it helps a lot because I can kind of just like, not associate it with the other bigger problems. Like I won't see it as, oh, my mom's dying and this is happening. I see it like, oh, this is happening and I just need to worry about this right now.
Right. I'm glad to hear that. It seems like you're finding ways in the sense of taking one step at a time, essentially. So that's great that you've been practicing, great grounding techniques, and you're finding ways to be able to not only care for yourself and help yourself, but to do that to also help your kids and all of that. So I'm very happy and proud of you that all of these coping skills that we've came and worked on are making your life positive and improving. So that's great to hear. Do you feel like there's anything outside of the treatment plan that you've improved on other than what we've talked about in sessions?
I mean, overall, I think I've just been a lot more open to like the smaller issues like that. Like, I don't associate everything as like, oh, there's a million things coming with me at once. And so even if I'm not using the grounding exercises or venting about it with someone, I feel like just generally everything's kind of improved. So, if I get a flat tire or something, or if I just have an extra task I need to do, I don't know, it seemed like so much more before. I think it's because I let everything build, but now I wake up in the morning and I don't feel like I'm dreading doing anything necessarily.
That's great. So it just seems like you found your ways to also be able to reduce the stress levels before they even honestly come about. So before even getting to the point where it's like all the way up here, you're recognizing, hey, this is frustrating me, let me chill and just understand what's going on, and just everything's okay, and life happens. So and then is there any other areas that you want to continue to grow upon outside of treatment? Because it's reflecting on all of your objectives and your goals, it seems like you've met all of your goals and you found coping skills and techniques that work for you to not only reduce your stress, but to be able to process things also in the moment when they come about, to also be able to help your kids, make you feel better about communication with your marriage, and processing your mom's passing.
I think, like you said, communication is probably the big one. I think a lot of it is my husband's barely ever here, but even when he is here, it's not I find it really hard to tell him that I hate when he's gone for multiple days and everything. And I mean, I feel like he knows it, but it's also kind of we haven't even said anything about it to each other. It's just kind of always back, and we act like, he was just gone for 5 hours or something. And I mean, that's really hard because it's almost like we're just not acknowledging a big problem for both of us.
Right.
But I think I need some better way to express myself where I'm not accusing him or anything, or trying to act like I want him to change his job or anything. Just let him know why I'm struggling.
Right. And would you say any of the coping skill methods have worked between you and your husband with communication, even if it's not exactly where you want it to be? Is there anything that's been working to help you guys kind of meet the line in between?
I mean, since I've been working on like helping myself when I'm really down because he's not there, it kind of like lifts me up so when he is there, I don't feel like so desperate, I guess. Like it's not, he immediately comes back and I feel like, oh, it needs to stay this way. Like I'm okay for him to leave again. So I think that's definitely helped a lot, but it's still just the, like, telling him why it hurts for him to leave, even though I'm okay with him leaving now. It still hurts
because of the circumstances and whatnot.
Yeah.
So it's understandable. But I'm glad that you guys were able to find something that works for you guys. Even if you miss your husband at moments and he's out, I'm glad that you guys were able to meet in the middle in the sense. And of course, everything gets better over time. It's always a work in progress, no matter what the goal is, what the objective is. Everything takes time. So yeah. And then, so I feel like with speaking on your objectives and your goals, it seems like as far as you processing your stress with your children and your mother's death, it's gotten better. Before you came with no coping skills, and now you're able to have grounding techniques, your breathing techniques to realize, I'm stressed out, let me just take a break, and not getting to 100 instantly. So I would say that you've definitely met your goal for there. I definitely see some improvement, even with your husband, even though it's not exactly where you want it to be. Understanding both of the circumstances, I definitely can see that the communication's gotten better. So definitely proud to hear that. With that being said, I feel like because of these, therapy is really no longer needed, because it seems like you've met all of your goals enough to be able to take those and still be able to improve. But you have the basics, you have what you need to feel up there again. So that's really great to hear. And so, do you have any possible questions? Do you have anything else you want to talk about? Do you also, have a backup plan for if you feel like you're kind of slipping back into those old moments? Do you have a plan as to how you're gonna regulate those, or if you would want to come back to sessions, or have you given any thought?
I mean, from the improvement of these sessions we've done, I feel like I've gained, the methods I need. And they're just kind of like, I can keep building on them. Like, as they keep working, I develop new ways of doing it. So like, I don't use the same kind of grounding exercise that I would when I first started them. And so it's getting like almost more efficient. So, and I feel like that's really helped a lot, because I can, work on everything myself better.
Right.
And so I think that's kind of like the backup plan. Is just, I mean, I can use the experience from therapy. I don't feel like I need to come back every week.
Right.
Because there's only so many grounding exercises that I can learn and everything.
Exactly, and it's about practicing those now.
Yeah. And I just feel like, with the more social connection I have, it's kind of like I almost have pseudo therapy with it. I can kind of, talk to everyone about these same things, and then I also still have the skills I learned from actual therapy that I can implement, even though I can still, talk about everything with other people.
That's great. I'm very proud to hear that not only that you've accomplished these goals, but you feel that you have enough from therapy to take out into the real world and continue to grow. So with that being said, I'm very proud of you. Congratulations. If you feel that, you may be slipping back down again, or times are getting harder again, or you just feel like, you can always reach back out. You won't be able to contact directly me, but the agency will be more than welcome. So happy for you. I'm glad that the coping skills has been working and that therapy has been an improvement. So with that being said, I will just have you sign the termination papers and we should be good to go.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Have
Awesome.
a good day.